Have you ever looked at a photo of yourself in a summer dress and thought, why do I look older than I feel? You slept well, your spirit felt light, but something in the outfit didn't match the woman inside. It's a quiet kind of disappointment, one you don't always say out loud, but you carry it with you. Because truth is, even the softest dress can age us, if it speaks the wrong language. In this video, I want to gently walk with you through 7 small but common dress mistakes. Choices that many women over 60 make without realizing they're dimming their light. These aren't harsh criticisms, they're soft discoveries. Ways to help you feel more like yourself again in what you wear, especially when the sun is out and the world is watching. Because you don't need to look younger. You just need to look aligned with the woman you've become. Last summer, I visited an old friend, and Clara, 73, retired nurse. Kind eyes, always wore lavender. She met me at the gate wearing a bright floral dress. Big patterns, loud colors, thick straps. She smiled, but something in her eyes was searching. Over tea, she leaned in and said quietly, "I feel invisible, and somehow this dress makes it worse." We sat in silence. Then she added, "It's like I'm trying too hard to be seen, and it just makes me disappear more." That afternoon, we went through her closet together. No judgment, just curiosity. She tried on a soft taupe wrap dress, gentle neckline, flowing skirt, nothing loud. And when she turned toward the mirror, she didn't say a word. She just stood taller, softer, present. That moment reminded me, style isn't about decoration. It's about dignity. And today, I want to share that reminder with you, softly, truthfully. Shall we begin? 1. Mistake: wearing heavy, stiff fabrics. There's a moment, subtle but familiar, when you put on a dress, and before you even see it in the mirror, you feel it. The weight, the pull, the way the fabric resists your movement or clings in places that no longer feel like home. For many women over 60, this is the first and quietest mistake in summer dressing, choosing fabrics that look polished but feel like armor. Heavy polyester blends, thick cottons with no give, dresses with full linings that trap heat and make the skin feel suffocated. On the rack, they might seem structured and flattering, but on the body, they often do the opposite. They stiffen the silhouette, they mute the natural flow. They hold your shape hostage instead of letting it move with grace. I once had a neighbor, Trish, 71, always loved to dress smart. One July afternoon, she came over in a fitted dress made of something she called good quality fabric. But within 15 minutes, she asked if we could sit in the shade. "I feel like I'm wrapped in a tarp," she laughed. We both knew it wasn't about the heat. It was about how the dress made her feel. Stuck, pressed, heavy. The truth is, at this stage of life, we don't need more structure. We need more permission to soften, to move, to breathe. And that begins with fabric. Lightweight cotton voile, bamboo blends, linen that wrinkles not because it's messy, but because it's alive. Because when fabric floats, we float too. There's an ease that comes with clothing that listens, that meets your skin gently, that doesn't insist on being noticed, but quietly supports your presence. Comfort isn't laziness, it's wisdom that no longer asks for approval. So the next time you try on a dress, don't just ask how it looks. Ask how it moves with you. Walk, sit, let the air pass through. And notice, do you feel lighter or more burdened? Because the fabric may not speak, but your body always will. Now that we've lightened the weight, let's turn our attention upward, to the neckline, and how just one gentle curve can take years off your look and pressure off your posture. Let's go there next. 2. Mistake: high necklines that close the face. There's a certain comfort in covering up, especially as we grow older. We begin to feel the skin at our neck soften. Notice the gentle slope of our collarbone change, and almost without thinking, we start reaching for higher necklines. Round collars, crew necks, even mock turtlenecks, believing they'll hide what time has gently added. But here's the quiet truth. The more we cover, the more we close ourselves off, especially around the face, the part of us that tells our whole story. High necklines may feel safe, but they can also make us look shorter, rounder, heavier, and more importantly, tired. They shorten the neck, flatten the chest, and cast shadows that pull the gaze down. What we gain in coverage, we often lose in presence. My dear friend Janice, 70, always modest, always graceful, once wore a cream dress with a tight round collar to her granddaughter's recital. She looked neat, tidy, well put together, but something in her energy felt dimmed. A few weeks later, she tried on the same dress in a soft V-neck version. Nothing low, just enough to let the collarbone breathe. The difference? She looked lighter, lifted. Her smile didn't have to fight to be seen, and that's the lesson. Open necklines invite light. They guide the eye upward. They create space, not just for your body, but for your energy. So consider gentle V-necks, scoop necks, or a soft boat neck that frames the shoulders. These shapes don't expose, they embrace. They don't shout for attention. They whisper, "Here I am." Elegance isn't in what we hide. It's in what we allow the light to touch. So when you look at your summer dresses, ask not what hides your neck. Ask what honors it, what draws the gaze to your smile, not away from it, what lets your chin lift, not your shoulders curl. Now that we've opened the space around the face, let's look at something just as expressive. The patterns we wear and how too much noise can drown out even the calmest beauty. Let's move there next. 3. Mistake. Loud, oversized prints. There's something about a bold floral print that used to make us feel joyful. Vibrant reds, huge sunflowers, tropical splashes across cotton. When we were younger, those dresses felt like celebration. But over time, the feeling shifts. And one day we put on that same loud print. And instead of feeling alive, we feel lost beneath it. One of the most common mistakes women over 60 make, often with the best of intentions, is choosing dresses with large, loud, overpowering prints. We think it will bring energy, hide flaws, brighten the look, but instead, it swallows us. The dress enters the room before we do, and somewhere in all that color, we begin to fade. I remember walking through a community arts festival last summer and seeing a woman, perhaps late 60s, wearing a dress covered in giant red hibiscus flowers. It was cheerful, yes, but I couldn't see her. Her frame, her shape, her quiet grace were lost in the fabric. A few steps behind her, another woman wore a soft blue dress with tiny white sprigs scattered like whispers. I couldn't tell you her hairstyle or her shoes, but I remember her eyes. The print stepped back, and she stepped forward. That's the difference. At this stage, we don't need to prove anything with our clothing. We don't need to demand attention. We already carry presence in our posture, in our voice, in the way we listen. What we need is clothing that supports that presence, not competes with it. Choose smaller, more delicate patterns. Tone-on-tone florals, light geometrics, maybe even solids with a soft texture. These allow your body, original, and your face to speak first. Because you are not a background. You are the story. After 60, it's not about wearing bold patterns to be seen. It's about wearing quiet beauty to be remembered. So next time you reach for that brightly patterned dress, ask, is this adding light to me or taking it away? Is it lifting my presence or layering over it? And once you've found your answer, take that same gentle honesty with you. As we look down toward the hemline, where length, more than anything, can either ground or graciously carry us forward. Shall we continue? 4. Mistake. Unflattering hemlines. Sometimes it's not the color, it's not the fabric, it's not even the pattern. It's where the dress ends, that quiet line across the leg that either lifts your whole silhouette or quietly pulls it down. Unflattering hemlines are a silent culprit in making us look older or heavier than we are. For many women over 60, the default becomes longer is safer. We gravitate toward dresses that fall mid-calf or ankle length, thinking they'll give us more coverage. But length alone isn't kindness, placement is. When a hemline cuts across the widest part of the calf, it can visually shorten the leg, widen the stance, and make movement feel awkward. On the other end, very short hemlines, though tempting on hot days, can create contrast we didn't intend, drawing attention to knees we may no longer feel proud of. I remember my cousin Elaine, she's 68 and beautifully petite, came to a summer picnic in a long floral dress that hit just above her ankles. The fabric was lovely, but something felt off. Later she laughed and said, "I feel like I'm standing in a puddle of fabric." A few weeks later, she hemmed the dress 2 inches higher, and suddenly, it moved with her. Her legs looked longer, her stride more natural. It wasn't about showing more. It was about finding the length that balanced her. The most flattering lengths for most women? Just below the knee or just above the ankle, where the leg tapers gently. And consider adding a soft slit, an asymmetrical hem, or even a high-low cut to give motion and lift to the shape. Because movement is the language of youth, not tight skin, not short skirts, just the sense that our clothes walk with us. A good hemline doesn't hide the leg, it honors the way we move through the world. So when you stand in the mirror, don't just check how long the dress is. Walk in it, sit in it, watch how the fabric responds to your life, and ask, does it follow you with grace or slow you down with doubt? Now that we've found where the dress should end, let's look at where it begins again, the arms and shoulders, and how the right sleeve, or the lack of it, can lift or limit your confidence in the most surprising ways. Let's go there next. 5. Mistake: sleeveless cuts without balance. There was a time, maybe in our 30s or 40s, when throwing on a sleeveless dress in summer felt like second nature. No second thoughts, no glances in the mirror searching for flaws, just ease. But as the years pass, we begin to look at our arms differently. Softer skin, less tone, perhaps a little looseness around the shoulders, and suddenly, sleeveless becomes a quiet source of hesitation. That's where many women over 60 fall into a common trap. They either avoid sleeveless entirely or wear it without balance and end up feeling more exposed than empowered. The problem isn't sleeveless itself, it's the lack of visual harmony around it. A sleeveless cut with a high neckline, thick straps, or heavy armholes can actually widen the upper body and draw attention to places we're trying to soften. The result? A dress that feels like it's revealing too much and respecting too little. But there's a gentler way. My friend Lily, 72, once told me she missed wearing sleeveless, not because she wanted to show off, but because she missed feeling light. We found her a dress with soft cap sleeves and a modest V neckline. Just enough shoulder, just enough skin. The moment she put it on, she smiled and said, "This feels like me, but kinder." That's what we're looking for. Balance. If you love sleeveless but want support, try pairing it with a light scarf, a soft bolero, or even a sheer overlay, or choose dresses with flutter sleeves, angled cuts, or wide straps that taper gently. These shape the shoulder without cutting it harshly. Remember, the goal isn't to cover, it's to frame. Frame the parts of you that still feel proud, and soften the ones you're learning to love again. Beauty after 60 isn't about hiding time. It's about honoring where it has touched us and dressing that place with care. So next time you reach for a sleeveless dress, don't ask, "Can I still pull this off?" Ask, "Does this help me feel present? Or does it make me disappear into doubt?" Now, as we balance what we reveal and what we hold close, let's move gently to the center, where so much tension lives, the waist, and how we often dress it with too much pressure and not enough compassion. Shall we? 6. Mistake: chunky belts or tight waistbands. For many years, the waistline was a kind of battleground. We measured ourselves by it, defined our shape through it, even judged our worth depending on how small we could make it appear. And though we may have outgrown that way of thinking on the surface, deep down, many of us still carry its echo, especially when we dress. One of the most common mistakes women over 60 make in summer dressing is trying to force the waist into submission. chunky belts, tight elastic bands, rigid seams that dig into soft places and leave red marks long after the dress comes off. It's not that these details are wrong, it's that they often no longer align with how our bodies want to move, breathe, and simply be. You see, the waist changes with time. It softens, it shifts higher or lower, it no longer fits the same place on the measuring tape. And that's okay, because we're not here to chase a number anymore. We're here to feel whole in what we wear. I remember my Aunt Miriam, always polished, always proud. She wore a structured dress with a thick belt to a summer garden party, saying it made her feel put together. But halfway through the afternoon, she quietly slipped the belt off. I saw her exhale, then smile. "This," she said, patting her stomach gently, "isn't something I need to wrestle anymore." From that day on, she chose wrap dresses, soft gathers, empire waists, and somehow she looked more elegant, not less defined, but more at home. The truth is, tight waistbands and thick belts don't make us look slimmer. They break up the natural flow of the body, cut our silhouette into harsh halves, and draw attention exactly where we've spent years trying to find peace. And the discomfort doesn't stop at the skin. It affects posture, breath, and even the way we carry ourselves. So what can we choose instead? Dresses that give us options. Look for adjustable tiebacks, the kind that let you decide how snug to go. Empire waists that rest just below the bust, gently skimming the torso. Soft elastic that stretches but never squeezes. Even smocking, which adds shape without structure. These details don't erase the waist, they respect it. They move with us, not against us. And most importantly, they allow us to stand and sit with comfort and grace. Because at this stage, elegance isn't found in tight seams. It's found in ease. It's found in the moment when you slip on a dress and forget about it, because it simply feels right. A waistline doesn't need to hold you in. It just needs to remind you where you begin. So next time you try on a dress, ask not, "Does this shape me?" but rather, "Does this free me to be shaped by joy, by movement, by comfort?" Because the best dresses don't confine. They companion you. Through laughter, through dinners, through long walks and long stories, they move like you do, naturally, quietly, confidently. And now, as we begin to understand how to dress our center with more compassion, let's turn our attention to the finishing touch, the details we often overlook, yet they speak volumes. Let's talk about accessories, not as decoration, but as quiet punctuation for who we are. 7. Mistake. Neglecting accessories that uplift. There's a quiet phase many women go through after 60, when we begin to simplify. We let go of cluttered closets, unused shoes, drawers of jewelry that no longer feel like us. And somewhere in that quiet clearing, something beautiful happens. We begin to dress more for peace than for praise. But in that soft retreat, there's one gentle misstep I see again and again. We forget the power of accessories. We tell ourselves we're being practical, that a necklace is too much effort, that earrings are only for special occasions, that scarves are fussy, or handbags just something to carry tissues. But in reality, when we let go of every little accent, every gentle flourish, we risk fading into the background, not because we're invisible, but because we've stopped framing our presence. Accessories aren't about decoration. They're about direction. They guide the eye. They lift the look. They tell a story before we even speak. I remember my friend Elaine, quiet, thoughtful, always wore simple dresses in soft tones. One day, she added a single long pendant to her linen shift dress, nothing bold, just a silver teardrop that fell gently near her heart. And somehow, that one piece pulled the whole outfit into focus. She looked radiant, not because of the necklace, but because it drew the world's attention to her posture, her poise, her presence. Uplifting accessories don't need to be expensive or elaborate. A silk scarf tied lightly at the neck, a pair of delicate earrings that catch the light when you smile, a structured bag in a soft, neutral tone that says, "I'm still put together, just on my terms." Even a pair of elegant sandals that give a little height without hurting your steps. These are not extras, they are expressions. When we accessorize with intention, we don't just complete an outfit, we complete a message. I'm still here, still vibrant, still choosing beauty. So when you get dressed next time, ask yourself, what one small thing could I add to lift this look? To frame my face, to echo my energy, to remind me that even in simplicity, I deserve softness, sparkle, and soul. Because the details don't overwhelm you. They define you, gently. And now, after walking through every layer, from fabric to fit to finish, let's take a breath and wrap it all together. Not just in summary, but in something deeper, a reflection on what it truly means to dress in a way that honors who we are and who we've quietly become. Let's go there, together. So today, we've walked gently through 7 quiet mistakes, ones we don't often talk about, but that many of us have felt in the mirror, in the dressing room, or in that quiet sigh we let out before heading out the door. Mistakes not of vanity, but of disconnect, between who we are now and what our clothing is still trying to say. And maybe you saw yourself in one of them. Maybe in the heavy fabrics that hold you back, the high neckline that hides your light, the belt that squeezes a waistline that no longer needs to prove anything. Or perhaps in the silence of a bare outfit that forgot the gentle magic of a scarf, a necklace, a little reminder of who you once were and still are. But this isn't about guilt, it's about grace. Because the truth is, style after 60 is no longer about trends or praise or chasing youth. It's about coming home to ourselves. It's about choosing ease over effort, lightness over layers, presence over perfection. I think of my friend Carol, 75, fiercely kind. She once told me, "I don't want to look younger. I just want to feel seen. And not only when I'm quiet enough to disappear." That stuck with me. And I hope in some way this video helps you feel the same. So the next time you slip on a dress, ask not, "Does this make me look slim?" Ask, "Does this let me be fully, softly, proudly?" Because style isn't just what others see. It's how gently we remind ourselves, we're still here. We don't get dressed to impress, we get dressed to express the story we've carried, the softness we've earned, and the woman we've become. If today's words touched something in you, a memory, a truth, a quiet permission, I invite you to share it in a comment with a friend, or simply with the way you carry yourself tomorrow. And if you'd like more soft, thoughtful reflections like this, you're always welcome here. Subscribe for more, not because you need fixing, but because your beauty deserves to be reflected back. We'll be waiting gently.